Hi everybody, so it's me, Azurehowlshilach, and I'm going to be replying to your comments like I promised this new year. It's the first time that I'm doing this. I have to say I'm quite surprised about the amount of comments I got. I kinda didn't expect so many so fast, so that's why I also closed it after the 1st of January. But yeah, let's get to this. I'm first, wow, congratulations Victor. How did you come up with this whole story? Well, that's a bit difficult to put in one sentence. A lot of things inspired me, and mixing that with my fantasy, I guess it just existed. I did start with a previous story, and well, that story eventually, I never really released it on here, but I started a new story out of that one. But I do suggest you to take a look at my site. There is an entire page dedicated to explain or, well, give you information on how I started with it all. Second, baby. Yes, you are. Yes, indeed. She did give me her character, and yes, I will use it for my series. It is more of a minor character, but yet kind of important, but you'll see that in time. And yes, she has been transformed slightly to fit the magma species, so that she could become part of this story. What did inspire you to animate, and what is your motivation to keep doing it? Well, what inspired me, I'm gonna say probably Disney or so. As a kid, I always watched movies like Lion King, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Fox and Hound, you name it. I loved watching 2D animated movies, and I guess just one day I just wanted to start animating something myself. It didn't start with Azurehowlshilach, I had animations before that, so I guess the point where I started to animate was probably after seeing parody videos of, Akatsuki from Naruto. I started to make them myself with kind of funny, strange animations, but that's kind of how I started with animating myself. And what is my motivation behind it? Well, I just love animating. I can't really sum up something else than that. What made you first think of this, and why do you love wolves so much? Well, the previous story is probably what made me first think about this. About starting Azurehowlshilach. The previous story was called Azure Dragon Clan, and basically because I myself am more a fan of animal stories, I kinda just kicked the humans out that day and just picked out wolves. Oh my god, my voice sounded a bit weird. But why I love wolves so much? Well, wolves are one of my favorite animals, and one of the reasons why I love wolves myself is probably because I really like how they interact with each other socially. They kind of remind me, and well, they kind of are like human families. They have a mom, a dad, and children. And I guess that's really what I like about them. I'm also gonna say that I always, as a kid, really liked the howlings of a wolf. How long did it take you to develop this story? Probably years, and I'm not gonna even say like how many years, because it probably still is under development in some ways, because I never really have written it down completely to the point where it has where it's completely done. I don't do this because if I get new ideas, I can still put them in, and if you're gonna type out everything, then you have to maybe retype everything again. So I basically keep certain details that are important and have to stay in the story, and aside from that I leave open spaces in case I want to add something new in there. So I guess you can say it's still under development, because, well, I just get ideas too much sometimes, and I sometimes really just like to put them in. What was the first ever original character you've made up? My goodness, the first one I ever made up. I know that Ruza was one of the first ones, but I think a green cat was the one who stole first place. I never really uploaded a cat. How long have you been animating? I actually had to look this up for a moment. I started with animating, well, more seriously when in 2009 when I was starting on Azurehowlshilach, but originally I have been animating things before in 2007, well, starting there, because I was working on these kind of little parodies of an animation show, and well, I kind of just stopped at one point with that, but I never really called that serious animating because it was kind of like 2 frames moving or something, not really something spectacular. I do think that around 2008 I did sometimes experiment a little bit more, but I'm gonna be saying that I've been starting from 2009 till now a bit more seriously, especially in the last years. I've been focusing more on the animation. What inspired you to give your characters in Azurehowlshilach powers? Too many things to sum up. I really love fantasy creatures, beasts, and I remember having this like book, and they were talking about tons of lores and creatures of different cultures, like this horde that would drag people down under the water, dragons spitting fire. So many things have inspired me to use powers, because it's always cool. Probably the earliest inspiration would be Heroes 3 Mind and Magic, I think it was called. But they always had these creatures that had powers, and I really loved that game. Aside from that, I think some other more famous things probably inspired me as well. I mean, as a kid, I really loved to watch Pokemon and Digimon a lot. Both of them had creatures using powers, and that really inspired me to use it myself. My mind is just full of fantasy. I couldn't imagine having a story of a normal world, because I just love fantasy too much. Happy New Year, gal! Same to you, girl! If you could be an animal from your show, which one would it be? Probably would go for like a dragon, because I would be super almighty, but in all honesty, if I could choose, I would probably pick Kaito, because he's a shapeshifter, and that means I can shapeshift into anything I want. Would you prefer muffins or waffles? Waffles all the way. I love waffles. I mean, have you ever tried Belgian waffles? Delicious. What have you been busy with lately? A lot of things. I've been working on commissions. Aside from that, I've been working on this course that I'm studying currently, and that's gonna take a long time. Now I have to learn to drive as well, and believe me, I'm not a fan of driving. Cars scare the hell out of me. Aside from having to learn to drive, I'm gonna be working too this Saturday, I believe, the first time. So yeah, a lot of work. Next to that, Azurehowlshilach is what keeps me busy whenever I have free time. But I do like to spend a lot of time with my cats too. How much do you enjoy animating, Azurehowlshilach? Definitely a lot. Whenever I have free time, aside from spending it on my cats, I usually spend it on Azurehowlshilach. I really enjoy animating. It's kind of fun and relaxing for me. So on 10, I would probably say 10 on 10, I enjoy it. What's the best tips you can give to someone looking to animate? I have the best tips to animate. Well, I'm just gonna give the tips that help me the most. Like, whatever animal you're picking, like let's say you take dogs. If you have a dog, and unless it's like a corgi or dogs with a completely different anatomy or something, it are very good ways to start animating. Like, just study them, make sketches of them. Like, I myself, because I don't really have dogs or any canine at all, I just sometimes visit the zoo, and I would just look at them, and I take photos, but most of the time I would just stare and look at them. You could ask 2 of my friends, they both visit the zoo with me, and they both had to drag me almost out, because I would be there from morning till evening, staring at animals, and not only wolves, but also at cats, well, all sorts of animals. For me, it's really a pleasant thing just to look at animals, see them, observe them, see how they behave. To me, that helps a lot with animating, because you can kind of picture how you want them to move, even if it doesn't always turn out the way you want. It helps a lot. And the first time when I started animating, I was like 14, but it wasn't really serious animating. It was maybe 2-3 years later, I'm not sure, but that's when I really started animating, so probably gonna say 16 or so. Is the wolf your favorite animal? Yes, it is, together with a lot of other animals. Who taught you how to animate, and how old are you? At the moment, I'm 23. So old. Just kidding. And nobody taught me how to animate. I just started out in paint, drawing one picture with a slight movement in the next picture. Aw, that's really kind. Thank you. My idol is, well, it's probably just my parents. I really love my parents. My mom and dad are awesome, so they are my idols. How many YouTube channels do you have? Well, I have 2 at the moment. I originally had one before this one, but that one kind of got removed because I used a lot of copyright music to make AMVs and such. But the second YouTube channel I have is just a channel for fun, featuring my cats. When will episode 8 of Azurehowlshilach come? I'm not sure what Azurehowlshilach is. I haven't followed that series, sorry, can't help you. When it comes to magic, do you prefer the flame look or the electric look or some other styles? I'm really not sure what you mean with flame look or electric look. Do you like Rhinestone's art? Yes, I do. I think it looks adorable. Will you make more videos after your series is over? Probably, I'm not stopping. How long did it take you to learn to animate, and do you have any tips about making a series? How long? Not sure. It was just a progress. I never really had a moment where I was like, now I can animate. I mean, you can learn every day. And for tips about making a story, I would say take your time, have some planning, look through your story. I also have this journal. I'm gonna link it in the description below. You might have some things you can read here and tips that can help you. What is your favorite part of animating? My favorite part of animating would probably be the sketching. It goes kind of fast, and sometimes I even probably like the sketches more than the actual end work, but I'm gonna say sketching. What species? Shilach. She is a cat crocodile. Basically a mix of a caracal, a crocodile, and some other animals. How long are you planning to animate for? It's not like I have a date that I'm gonna stop, so probably for as long as I'm here. When will the winners of the Halloween contest be revealed? They have been reviewed, but just for you I added a link in the description so you can find it. Will you ever make another Azurehowlshilach School episode? They're really cute and funny. Thank you! Yes, I will, but because of all the delays I've had, I have been focusing a lot more on the episode now, and I kind of want to have this episode done, then you can expect another one of those. Tomorrow I'm 13. Congratulations. Have lots of cake, stuff yourself with cake, and have fun. What is your greatest weakness in animating? Backgrounds. I do not like doing backgrounds, even though they're usually not animated. What part of the animation process takes you the longest? Sketching, the backgrounds do take a lot of time. The line art really can take a lot of time depending on the character. As some of you know, I have colors, so the coloring and shading is usually done by the colorist. But for me, myself, it would probably be line art and the backgrounds. What was your first inspiration to create this series of an animation? That would be my previous story that I never really made out here. That's the first step to the new story. Happy New Year to you as well, Aro. In the future, are you going to allow other people to help you animate episodes? As of now, people are coloring the frames, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna leave the animating to other people, because I'm kind of afraid that I'm gonna be ending up with a situation where certain animators would no longer be able to help. So I'm probably gonna be animating the wolves and such myself, but the coloring will always be for people that are willing to help out. Aw, that's really kind of you. And a happy year to you as well. As for your question, what usually really helps for improving is just taking the animal, or, well, if you're drawing humans, just take a human, just kidding, but practice, make sketches of them, and just observe how they move. That's basically what helped me the most. How do you animate stuff? Well, there's an entire process to animate stuff. You could always go to my how to animate video. That could help you, but animation, like in short, is just drawing a picture and a second picture that moves. What animation program would you recommend for a newbie who wants to get into animation, and what are your goals for this new year? I'm glad I'm making your year perfect then. As for program, I'm not fully sure what to recommend, because I myself just started out with Windows Movie Maker in the past, and now I currently work with Sony Vegas. It's not exactly an animation program, it's more like a video editing program. So I'm not sure if I can really help you with that, but for me, Sony Vegas has always worked the best. And, well, if you want to have a program with good quality, I can tell you that that program works just fine. As for my new goals of this year, it would probably be to get this episode done. Hopefully to have my driver's license, I would really have that over with. I kind of want to lose weight. I've been losing a lot since last year. And not sure, probably more, but can't think of it right now. When did you start animating and what animation drawing program do you use? Also the first one already, and for drawing program I use Photoshop 6, I believe. Why do you like cats? Because they are the best, and I totally agree. Because cats are just fun. And they're so unique personality-wise, and they really, they're not just like, I'm gonna do whatever you say. They kind of really have this attitude, and I really love that about cats. They're just fascinating to me. What's the worst thing that happened to you last year? I personally have too much to count. Personally, 2015 was a lot more shittier for me. Seemed like 2014, 2015 were probably very bad years. As for 2016, it was actually a better year for me. Although, with all the stuff happening out there in the world, I have to say it was kind of a bit of a depressing year at that point. But as for a really bad thing to sum up, I actually can't really think of one right now. Making creatures for your series hard to come up with. Not really, actually. I mean, sometimes I guess, perhaps yes, but I kind of enjoy making like fantasy creatures, so I don't have any problem with it and never really had any difficulty with it. If eggnog existed in Ruza's world, would you like it? It's the only carton of eggnog he has in a hidden vault. I'm not sure actually, because I have no clue what it is. I'm sorry. Have you ever wanted to give up on animation? Also, do you personally have to be motivated to animate, or is it a desired passion of yours? Never really wanted to give up on animation. And, well, I just animate, I just enjoy it. It's not like I have to motivate myself, it's just something I like to do. How old are you? I'm like 150. Just kidding, I already said so below. How many episodes do you plan for the series? Not sure, sadly. Happy New Year to you too. What is your favorite thing to do on your spare time? Well, probably playing with my cats, or teaching my cat a trick or two. And aside from that, most of my spare time is probably spent in Azurehowlshilach. But I also really like to spend time with my family, watch a movie together. But, like I said, most spare time goes to Azurehowlshilach as well. Thank you. As for the Broadway, I sadly don't know it. And as for my favorite animated meme of 2016, I haven't really saw that many, but I kind of do think the one called Perfect is kind of cute. What inspires you for doing your character's designs? All sorts of things. Like if we take the plant species, for example, and we take Matt's mother, Flora, her marking actually resembles a type of flower. And that's called, I'm thinking in English, it's poinsettia. I'm not sure. I know the name in my language, but I don't really know it in English. But I'll show a picture right now, but it's a very beautiful flower. But if you look at her markings, you can kind of see that her design was inspired by it. So like with plant wolves, I can be inspired by nature elements like flowers and plants. While with fire wolves, I might just be inspired by flames itself. With some characters, I tend to even look at certain dogs and I'm like, that looks like a nice marking. So it really depends on it. Which one of the characters do you like to animate? Ruza, because she's so simple. What was the best thing that happened to you in 2016? One of the best things would have probably been having had my friend here over to have fun here and spending time with my family in Italy. Those are very great times. Spending time with my cats overall. Like for me, those things are very good and important. Is Matt and Ruza going to become mates at some point in the series? Because that would make for a plot twist. I'm not sure if it would be really a plot twist, but just to give a bit of information, Ruza is like kind of a young kid in this series. She's like 12 and she isn't really interested in love, if that's what you're asking for. Matt is a bit older, yes, but to Ruza, Matt is kind of just her first friend she made out there. Do you believe in Santa Christ? I think Santa is a bit different depending on culture. I know in America that children go down and Santa has visited and there's suddenly packages everywhere. Well, here, at least in my family, we just give presents. It's never really said that Santa gave us presents. So, at that point, sadly, no. Don't believe in it because it's never been that way in my home. Who's better, Mother or Rusa? I guess it depends on who you like the most. Do you ever consider putting fan art characters into the actual animations? Yes, and in the current episode, that is actually happening. There have been characters that have been used in the background that are actually fan characters. What are your favorite books to read? Usually the type of books I read are just informative books or so. I've never really spent time in reading actual novels or so, but I do kind of want to start with reading books one day. At least I would really like to read the Harry Potter series because I really like the movies and I know from my mom that the books tell a lot more. What is your favorite holiday? Christmas. I really love Christmas. It's just nice and happy time, and I like the Christmas tree, all the decorations, and then spending those days with your family in the evening, having this great dinner and so on. Is just fun. How did you come up with the world that is now Azurehowlshilach? Storyboard speech and lore. That's again a very big question. I would recommend to visit the site because it explains everything in a lot more details. As for the world itself, I was really inspired by games like Age of Empires, I believe, and Heroes, because you could make your own world, and that's basically why my story or my world is an island right now, because I just always made islands in those games, and that was just so much fun. As for the idea of Azurehowlshilach, I've explained this one before. As for wolves specifically, that's just actually kind of random. You see, as a kid, I could have these moments where I would kind of act like an animal. Yeah, as a kid, I was always imitating animals. And most of my years were probably cats, but then it kind of changed at one point to foxes. I've had snakes too, and like, yeah, like it's a bit difficult to behave like a snake, but even horses and so on. But at the time when I was... But then there came this time where I was learning more about wolves, and when I learn about an animal, like when I try to know more about them, I do what I did with the other animals. I go to the library, take lots of books, look at pictures of them, look up information over them, and at that very moment, wolves were just the ones that I was learning about. So I ended up picking wolves for the story. What inspired you to start drawing? No, drawing, or at least to me, it's not a gifted thing. I mean, I've met people who seem to be able to draw perfect without even having to try, but I myself didn't start gifted or anything. I just practiced a lot, and if you're asking like why I started to draw or why I wanted to draw, drawing was just basically a way to put my fantasy on paper. Like, I would literally draw faces on rocks or something just to see my fantasy play out and have fun. Are you actually going to be drinking for New Year's Eve? No, because, well, obviously I'm going to drink something, but as in alcohol-wise, no, because I actually don't like the taste of alcohol, wine, or anything. So for me, it's going to be butterbeer or Harry Potter. Do you usually animate in order or out of order? I animate in order. I kind of can't stand work out of order. It kind of confuses me. I mean, to me at least it does, but order it is. Well, I don't really have a form. I think I never really thought of making one. I do have like groups and sites, but people haven't really used it as a form or something. I'm not sure if there will ever be one, perhaps one day, but we'll see. How you create these amazing wolves. Well, I'm glad you think they're amazing, and how I made them look or design-wise, just by drawing on a paper and trying out and out again and again. What do you plan on doing when you finish Azurehowlshilach series? Probably having some sort of movie ideas after that. Happy New Year to you as well. When you are done with this series, will you do another? I think I would probably focus more on movies or something, like having an Azurehowlshilach movie after Azurehowlshilach. We'll just have to see how that goes. Who is your favorite character in Azurehowlshilach? Happy New Year to you as well. As for my personal favorite character, Rusa will probably be there. Yeah, I can't say one character only. Kaito is probably a personal favorite of mine, but so is Set, kind of. Also some others, even some that haven't even been shown yet, but I'm probably still gonna have Rusa on top of them all. She's just my little Rusa. I have a question. Okay, which character is the series is easiest to draw? Rusa. She's completely white, just some tiny black marks. That's all. How are you? I'm doing good, though I'm a little bit cold right now. My room, it's freezing here. If you want to learn to animate, I would just say go for it. I mean, it could be fun, you could like it. Try it out, have some fun. I don't really know how much episodes it would have, but Happy New Year's to you as well. What is your favorite character so far to animate? Probably gonna remain Rusa because she's so super simple. Why did you want to start making Azurehowlshilach? So basically, I love making stories and I love 2D animated movies. So what other way than to make your own fantasy come alive with animating it? That's basically why I wanted to do this. What got you into the animation community? I'm not really sure about this question or what you mean with that, or with the animation community. I guess because I'm animating? Any advice on drawing wolves from the front view? Well, I would just advise to take a look at photos and practice from them first. If you're really struggling with it, having some practice from the real animal itself is going to be very helpful. What do you think is the most influential in your persistence or keeping you inspired? Well, I'm probably gonna say the part where I really enjoy animating, but also all the comments I get from you guys. It really inspires me. It's a lot of fun to hear all the compliments, and it just makes me go work on it over and over again. Which I all thank you for, of course. What is it that you do in your free time aside of animating and possibly working? Well, playing with my cats, visiting a zoo, spending time with my family, and working on commissions, those kind of things. What's your fave food? I have so many fave food, you have no clue. I love fish, I love potatoes, I love cotton candy, but there's so much I love. I love pastime. Okay, I can go on forever with this. There's just so much that I love. Will you ever consider to do any other animation series? Probably not, because I'm gonna be pretty busy with this one. It will really depend. 2 questions. Will we see more Azurehowlshilach School, and what would be their next topic? Yes, there will be more of Azurehowlshilach School, and the next topic would be about markings and their looks. What's your favorite part about creating this series? Probably drawing the storyboards, because they look absolutely hilarious at times. But just writing the story in general is a lot of fun. Why did you make a wolf series besides a cat animated series? And the reason I picked wolf was, like I said before in the comments, back then, right at that moment, I just happened to be learning about wolves, and that's why I picked wolves. But Azurehowlshilach does contain a lot of other animals. There is really no specific reason to why I picked wolves, other than they were just at that moment the animals I was learning about. Yes, I love animation, love animated movies, love it all. For animating, I said so before. As for drawing, it's really difficult to put a date on that, because everybody as a kid has been drawing as well. What animation programs do you prefer to use? That would be Photoshop and Sony Vegas. When did you start YouTube? That's difficult, because this is not my first YouTube account. My very first YouTube account was called Azurehowlshilach, and I'm not even sure if there are many people from there that still remember that, or that were watching me when I had an account there. As for when it was, I think it was like 2006 or 7. I think 2007. Who are your 3 least favorite characters, and why? For my 3 favorites, probably, well, Rusa is my favorite, because she's kinda a little bit resembling me. She's not really a girly type of character, and curious and adventurous, and at the same time she has some sort of morals. But at the same time, there's not really a lot you can know of her yet with the episode you've seen. There's a lot more to her, but that's for later. The second one would be Kaito, because he's just one of the characters whose story that I find very touching. Even that will also, of course, in the episodes be more explained, but there's things I really like about his character, but I can't really give them away yet. As for Seth would be one of the characters I really like, because he's just really like a wolf with an attitude. I remember that his personality was based off a friend I once had, and That friends could be so random at moments where you would be like, oh, hold your mouth right now because that woman could have heard you. Like, he would say stuff that you were like, oh my goodness, like, shut up or something. Least favorite characters, Krypton. And not actually because of his personality or anything, although he does have a lot of points that aren't really good points about him, but it's just animating him. My god, he's a pain to animate. Aside from that, there is one character that I really don't like in my story, but I think that's a good thing because he is not really like a likable character, but you will only see his face in this current episode. I can't say more about that. Another least favorite character would be... Oh, it's kind of difficult. I actually can't think of a third one. Because, I mean, even if you have bad guys or so, or it's still not... I mean, sometimes you can just like them as well, even if they're bad. When did you first start creating Shilach? It's actually cute, and oh, thank you so much. That's really kind of you. And Shilach is actually almost a year old. I actually started making her last year, and that was, I think, let me take a look, the 16th of January. That's when I made her. And I made her because I was never satisfied with my previous persona. I mean, in the beginning, people kind of pasted Ruse as my persona, but she never was my persona, but people just assumed, I guess, she was. Then, at one point, I made a brown wolf. Some of you might recognize her because I did have an entire animation about her and even a quad suit, but I never felt satisfied with her. I feel like I made her back then for my school project because the animation and the quad suit were both for my school project. I kind of never grew close to the character itself and barely drew the character. Well, with Shilach, who I made last year, I really enjoy having her. I really love drawing her, and I'm gonna be super glad when it's the 16 because then I've had her for a year without even regretting a moment of it. What will you do after you finish Azurehowlshilach? I have some projects in my mind, but I think Azurehowlshilach will take a long time. Do you like Digimon? If so, which one is your favorite? Yes, I like Digimon. The first, the second season, and Digimon Sabers were my favorite seasons. As for my favorite Digimon, although I have some other Digimons I really like now, I'm just gonna give you the first Digimon ever that I really liked, and that was actually Petamon. She's just adorable. Or he. I was always confused. I always thought she was a girl for some reason. Question number 1. Why are you holding a bottle of hot sauce? It's not a bottle of hot sauce. It's butterbeer of Harry Potter. And that's really delicious. When I started, I've already answered those before. And improving, yes, I did that on my own. As for your other question, I never took classes for animating. I wouldn't really know where to take them in the first place. What type of tablet do you use? Right now I'm using a Wacom tablet. My favorite thing to draw, all type of things. I love drawing animals the most. Happy New Year to you as well. I animate on my laptop. Smiley to you as well. Some extremely labeled argued that someone made a massively popular Roblox game inspired by Azurehowlshilach. I am not aware of this. I did hear something about a Roblox thing before, but I have seriously no clue what it is. Oh well, thank you. And I'm from Belgium. Effort and time, well, if you mean for this video, probably a lot. I've been sitting in my room an hour or two or so. I think if I would do that, the fans wouldn't be happy, because then I would be dividing my time into 2 series, which would mean it would take longer for an episode to be produced, and then I think fans would be kind of really angry at me. What are you planning to do after the next episode, and are you also going to animate more maps? After the next episode, I'm probably going to be focusing on a Azurehowlshilach school episode, and then probably the next episode. And yes, after this episode, I would probably like to do some maps as well. Oh, Happy New Year to you as well, Azurehowlshilach. As for the animation thing, I've already went through that before. As for making videos for YouTube, well, at first Azurehowlshilach just started and it was just on this YouTube channel, and now I guess what inspires me or why I'm making videos for YouTube is probably because all of you guys like it, and I'm really happy about that. How much do you love or fan support, and how has it all affected you? I love it a lot. It has definitely affected me. When I'm working on the episode, it's reading those comments, it makes me so happy, and it probably just makes me motivated to animate and so on. To me, like, you guys' support truly means a lot to me, and I would snuggle all of you, like if I could, but you live all too far for that. But I love you guys. And now we are at the last question from Nova Wolf. How long does it usually take to animate? Take episode 7. How long did it take you to animate the whole thing? Sadly, I can't really paste a time or a number on that because I never really to take all the hours together and count how much it takes. I would probably say it definitely takes a long time nonetheless. Anyways, thank you guys for commenting all. This was very fun to do, very fun to reply to the comments as well. Anyways, have a happy new year and have some great days and fun or something like that. That was kind of random. Bye!